Let's start at the end. The United States won the World Team Championship. 4 days in Mechelen, 46 nations, 368 players, and when the last round was scored, the Americans were on top of it. Their first win at this event in a long time. And one of their players finished the whole week without losing a game. Folger Pyles did not lose a single one. Not one game across both the team event and the singles earlier in the same week. Same note on where this comes from as always. The results are all BCP. The history notes are the organizers' own records. And this time, every number is a result, because the games have finally been played. So let's go through what actually happened to all of it. Start with the team title. The USA finished on 12 match points. 5 rounds won, 2 drawn, and not a single round lost the whole weekend. That is how you win this thing. In a team event, the score that ranks you is the round result, your 8 players against their 8, and you win the round, draw it, or lose it. The individual game wins are only the tiebreak underneath. And that tiebreak is worth sitting on because it is the whole story of second place. Behind the USA, 5 teams finished level on 11 match points. France and Spain took second and third on game wins. Here's the part people find strange. France's players actually won more of their individual games than the Americans did. The exact figures are on the screen, and it still was not enough. The USA drew their last 2 rounds and lost none. France won 5, drew 1, and lost 1, and that single lost round is the whole gap. For the USA, it is their first title here since 2018, and the side was captained by John Lennon. Going in, the one thing missing from their recent record was the very top of it. It is not missing anymore. A few of the sides we looked at before the event. Sweden came 4th, and that is now 4 fourth-place finishes in a row for them. A 7th back in 2022, and then 4th, 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 and 4th again this year. Never quite the top of it, never far from it either. England came 6th, up from 12th last year, which had been their worst result in nearly 20 years, so that is a real climb back for them, and their most experienced player, Nassim Fouchan, came 6th as an individual at the singles too. And Australia came 11th. Going in, that was very nearly a new squad for a side that won this thing back in 2022. Only 3 of the 8 had played this event before, and for a squad that new, 11th is a solid weekend. Now the 4 armies. In the preview, I showed you that 46 national teams had crowded onto the same shortlist. Orks, Emperor's Children, Chaos Demons, and Thousand Sons. About a third of every seat in the hall. Here is what those 4 bets returned at the team event, across nearly 900 games between them. Orks set the pace among the 4. They won about 2 in 3 of their games, more than 250 of them, and the best rate of any of the big armies in the hall. Daemons landed a shade over half. The other 2 did not pay off the same way. Emperor's Children came in a little under half, and Thousand Sons closer to 4 in 10. And over at the singles, the 4 of them between them still took 11 of the top 20 places, though it was Orks and Daemons doing most of the lifting. That split between Orks and Emperor's Children is worth staying on because they were the joint most brought armies at the team event, 36 players each, and they went opposite directions. Orks were the strongest big faction in the hall, and at the singles earlier in the week, they ran about 3 and 5 as well, a couple of points over where they have sat since the last balance pass. Emperor's Children were the story on the other side. They were joint biggest at the team event, tied with the Orks, and at the singles, they were the single biggest army in the room, 46 players, and they finished underwater at both. Under half at the team event, and at the singles, they landed a few points below where they usually sit, with not one player in the top 20. Most brought, and not much to show for it. I am not going to tell you why tonight. That is a longer conversation and not one for the small hours. The numbers are the numbers. Now rewind to the singles, the Warmaster Grand Tournament, which ran Tuesday to Thursday before the teams played. 613 players, which is a big singles event by any measure. 6 rounds of Swiss for the whole field, and then the top 8 went into a knockout, quarterfinals, semis, and a final. So most of the room played 6 games, and only the players who made the cut played more. The champion played 9. Worth being clear on that, because an event that looks like 9 rounds is really a 6-round Swiss with a bracket bolted on the end. The top of that table, Folger Pyles won it. Adeptus Custodes, 9 wins from 9 on Take and Hold. Second was David Gaylord, Chaos Daemons, 8-1 on Purge the Foe. Then 2 more Daemons players, Albin de Polignac, 3rd on Priority Assets, and Liam VSL, 4th on Reconnaissance, both 7-1. 5th was Gustavo de Sousa on Orks, 6-1, Take and Hold. Those top 5 all recorded their disposition pick, so those are on solid ground. Below them, it goes demon heavy again, with a couple of Space Marines players cracking the top 10, and 1,000 Suns in there too. Those placings did not record a disposition in our data, so I am not going to put one on the board for them. So let's talk about the champion, because 16 wins and no losses in a single week is not a thing you see. The list was Lions of the Emperor paired with Might of the Moritoi on Take and Hold, and the heart of it was 3 bricks of Alaris Custodians, 6 models each. The bracket is where it got real. In the quarterfinal, Pyles beat the freebooter Orks that finished 5th, and it was close, 80-74. The semifinal was not close at all, 88-28 over one of the Legion of Excess Demons lists, the one that came 4th. And the final was against Gaylord's Blood Legion Demons, who had not lost a game in this tournament right up until that one. There is no battle score on record for the final, so I will just tell you Pyles won it and leave it there. And that was only half of the weekend. Same player, same army, straight into the team event, and Pyles went 7-0 there too. 7 more games, 7 more wins, and the most battle points of anyone on the winning USA side, 125 of them. Add it up and it is 16 games and 16 wins across the 2 events, same package, the same 3 Alaris bricks the whole way through. That is the run of the weekend. Both events, no losses. Back to those demons, because one specific build was everywhere at the singles. Legion of Excess paired with Warp Tide was the most repeated strong finish of the whole event. 8 of the players on it won 3 of every 4 games or better, and 4 of those landed in the top 10, including 3rd and 4th outright, the Polignac and Liam VSL, both on this exact package. So the Chaos story was not one story. Emperor's Children never got going, and this package quietly cleaned up. Demons as a whole came in a little over their usual mark at the singles, and most of their strongest finishes were on this exact build. What did the winners actually pick to play for? Across the whole singles field, of the lists where the player's own pick is on record, and that is 528 of them, Priority Assets came out just ahead of Take and Hold. Call it 3 in 10 of the field on Priority Assets, a little over 1 in 4 on Take and Hold. That is a small flip from the norm, where Take and Hold usually sits on top and Priority Assets a step behind it. But the sharper story is at the very top of the table. Among the top 50 finishers, Reconnaissance nearly doubled its usual share. Better than 1 in 4 of them were on it. And Disruption, the least picked of the 5, showed up exactly once in that top 50. So the field as a whole leaned to Priority Assets, and the winners specifically leaned to Reconnaissance. 2 different questions and 2 different answers. One army that never made the preview shortlist, but had a very good weekend anyway, Dark Angels. At the team event, they won about 3 in 5 of their games across 100 of them, 15 players, and the USA captain John Lennon was one of them. 5 wins and a draw against a single loss on Dark Angels. And at the singles, the fast build, Company of Hunters with Darkflight Pursuit, put 7 players into the strong finisher pool, more than any other single build except that Warp Tide Demons package. This is one the community had already landed on as the quiet winner after the last balance pass, and for once, the chatter and the numbers point the same way. When that happens, it is worth saying out loud. The other side of the ledger, and I will keep the counts on screen so you can weigh them yourself. At the singles, Drukhari fell further below their own standard than any army with a real number of players there. 10 of them, 60 games, and they won about a third. At the team event, the hard weekends belonged to Tyranids, who won under 2 and 5 across 140 games. And to Imperial Knights and Chaos Space Marines, both down around a third of their games over 100 plus apiece. That is a lot of games to be that far under, and it made for a rough weekend for all three. Quick break from the results. Every number I have put in front of you tonight came out of Wardrill, the faction pages, the disposition matrix, the list checker, all of it, on iOS and Android and the web, and it updates through the week, not just on results day. Links are in the description. If the show is worth anything to you, a like and a subscribe is the honest way it reaches the next player. And to everyone on Patreon keeping the lights on, thank you, genuinely. That is the World Team Championship, start to finish. The USA on top for the first time in years, a 16-0 week from one of their players, and 2 of the 4 most hyped armies paying off while the other 2 did not. A few things that we'll be watching in the data from here, and none of these are calls, just threads to pull. Whether that Custodes package that went 16-0 does the same on an ordinary weekend, away from the biggest stage of the year. Whether the Legion of Excess and Warptide build holds its rate once it is not all at one event. And whether Emperor's Children, most brought and underwater, climbs back at the next big one. We will find out on the table, not on a slide. Trust your reps, and I will catch you at the next transmission. This is Sar from Wardrill, signing out. The names coming up are my Magos operators on Patreon. Pulling a whole international championship apart, both events, thousands of games between them, is a couple of days of work, and these are the people who make it a thing I get to do at all. So for me, thank you.